everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecast for September 15th through the 17th. And we will see some peripheral, very peripheral effects from Lee. But even the rain, I think we're going to basically see no rain out of Lee here or in southern Vermont. Coastal New England, a little different story, particularly down East Maine and into Nova Scotia. But for us, definitely minimal impacts. And even there, Lee does seem to be weakening pretty quickly. It's got a pretty good distance still to go over cold water before it gets there. So while it'll seem like a real strong nor'easter, I think in terms of some of the worst effects, I think we're going to dodge the bullet for the most part on this one. Although that being said, if you're in down East Maine or in Nova Scotia, first of all, I don't know why you're listening to a southern Vermont weather forecast, but if you are, you still need to definitely take this seriously. But it looks like we're going to kind of dodge the worst of the bullet from Lee. So let's take a look at what's going on here across the country. First of all, you'll notice a lot of nice weather behind us, upstream from us. That's sort of headed in our direction with Lee as the wrinkle. You can see the edge of the clouds from Lee continue to expand. This is normal. Hurricanes, as they gain latitude, tend to gain size. Also, Lee has been well developed for a very long time, so it was already a big hurricane. That does tend to happen with hurricanes over time too, when they get a chance to spend a week or two as a developed system. That will throw some clouds our way. High clouds will definitely make their way today. You'll even see a few of them this morning. They will get thicker throughout the afternoon. And tomorrow, I think we do get a decent amount of clouds. It'll also be breezy. We have pretty good sized high pressure to our west, and so the pressure gradient is pretty strong over southern Vermont. So we will get some breezy conditions tomorrow. And by breezy, I mean 25 to 35 mile an hour wind gusts, enough that you'll notice it, but not nothing that's really going to cause any damage or anything like that. Again, coastal New England, different story. Definitely wind gusts right at the coast, 50, 60 miles an hour, maybe even a couple of 70 mile an hour wind gusts, definitely possible. Again, that's not that unusual for a strong winter storm for them either. So it looks like like one of our stronger coastal storms for that. There'll be a ton of waves. Wave action will be bigger than most winter storms because there's just been waves being built out here by Lee for days now. The surface already wet. And coastal erosion will be a problem because of that as well. Maybe a little bit of minor coastal flooding as well. So it's a big deal. It's not the worst storm we've ever seen, even for coastal New England. And here in southern Vermont, it's mostly clouds and a little bit of breeze. You won't even, really know it won't seem like a tropical storm at all. So, and thankfully we're missing out on the rain. There will be a decent amount of rain, although that looks to be pretty much confined to eastern New England. Hopefully it won't cause too much in the way of flash flooding, but here that's not a problem, obviously, at all, since we're not getting any of the rain. All right, if we take a look at radar, you can just start to see a few echoes of radar southeast of the Cape and the Islands. That'll be kind of building back towards us, but again, I don't think rain gets even closer to us than, say, like I-93 or so in New Hampshire, so central New Hampshire. That's probably about the west-east line, Worcester, Mass, places like that. Everything west of that pretty much stays dry, and we're definitely well west of that, so we look to stay dry. Here's your high-pressure system. That, again, that's going to be the one thing that we do get to see is a little bit of wind because it's a pretty strong high. Got a strong low, obviously, here. The difference between the two, the pressure gradient, that's what creates the wind, and so the wind flows between the two kind of from north to south or northeast to southeast, and then as the hurricane heads, we'll swap the wind back over, and we'll have kind of a northwesterly wind here. And again, it'll kind of feel like the day after a nor'easter where you often get those breezes. A little bit odd for this time of year to have that kind of wind, but not odd compared to what we would see, after a big storm in the winter. Next wrinkle, we do have a bit of a front. This will approach us, but not hit us with any rain until after dark on Sunday night. So Monday overnight or Sunday overnight into Monday, definitely this front will be swinging through and it will be giving us some showers and some light rain. But I think that's going to hold off until after dark on Sunday. So some clouds later in the day on Sunday, definitely possible. So I'll have to just keep an eye on that. But in terms of outdoor plans, basically you're good to go all weekend. Not a ton of sun. Saturday will basically be cloudy though with Lee. All right, let's take a quick look. I want to take a closer look at Lee. Still a relatively impressive storm. You can see, though, definitely the effects of both being shear due to being kind of pulled north, and also you can see the effects of some cooler water because you can see the clouds. The bright colors are kind of getting lighter. That means the cloud tops, the highest cloud tops, we're starting to lose those. And that basically is an indication that you're losing the overall heat engine that creates the tropical system. And so as that happens, the storm will inevitably wind down. Right now, still a Category 1 hurricane, winds of about 85 miles an hour, according to the National Weather Service. but it is forecast to become a tropical storm by later on this afternoon and continue to weaken as it heads towards the coast. So again, that's definitely going to happen. Wind field's pretty big too. That is why, even though it's going to go well east of the Cape and the islands, 50, 60 mile an hour wind gusts on Cape Cod, not out of the realm of possibility, even though the storm will be a good 50, 60, 70 miles east of Cape Cod. That's a pretty good wind field. Just again, with the kind of the way that this has expanded over time. Let's take a quick look at the track from the National Hurricane Center. I will go next slide. We'll talk about why it didn't jog west as much as we thought it might. It was as often happens with these because these subtle features are just not really anything that we can forecast well. It slid underneath the trough, which was the worst case scenario for us, where we thought it would head towards us. But then the ridge behind the trough was not forecast to be at the right angle that it's at now, and so actually the ridge is kind of pushing it out to sea as opposed to sucking it back towards New England. So yeah, that's not unusual that the forecast, especially those little tiny details, changes in the last 72 hours. But we're pretty locked in basically now to in terms of New England impact, possibly landfall at the very eastern end of down East Maine, but more likely probably sort of in between Maine and Nova Scotia, and then kind of heading then north and east from there as a weakening tropical storm. Again, this will be something comparable to a lot of the winter storms that we would see here across the Northeast in terms of wind conditions. Let's take a quick look. Let's take a quick look first at what happened. So here's the trough we talked about the whole time. The first scenario was it moved fast and the trough captured it and kind of shot it out to sea relatively quickly. That is not happening, actually. The trough is still there and it is pulling it north now, but the trough is going to pull out over the top of the hurricane. However, this ridge back here, instead of being kind of south to north or even a little bit southeast to northwest in its angle, is actually tilted southwest to northeast. And so that kind of continues the flow to push Lee out to sea, or out to the north and the east as well. It's going to come further north than it would have if the trough had captured it, but it's also going to move a little bit slower, and it's going to be pushed out, though still at about the same spot that if the trough had captured it. So again, that's one of those details 4 or 5 days out. We talk about the different scenarios, and then this trough axis was just at an angle that the models didn't forecast real well 4 days ago, and sometimes that happens. Now this looks pretty locked in like this, and basically when with the trough axis like that, it basically means that meant that all of the western scenarios and the scenarios where Lee kind of jogged back to the west basically became an impossibility, because it's just not the trough isn't the ridge isn't in such an axis where that is possible to happen. So that's why we're not going to have to worry about Lee really here in southern Vermont. Okay. Quick look to our next weather maker. Sunday evening, a front is approaching from the west, and this front's moving right along. You can see rain out ahead of it. These are kind of showery. Maybe a couple of storms, not really up our way. Storms further south, really, associated with the front. But this will bring us some light rain and some showers overnight Sunday night into Monday. Okay, let's take a quick look at the actual forecast here. Today, highs in the upper 60s. Sun this morning giving way to high clouds, and then cloudiness probably by this evening. Overnight tonight, we're cloudy. That holds temperatures in the low 50s. Tomorrow is basically a cloudy day. Again, breezy, 25, 35 mile an hour wind gusts, pretty consistent throughout the day. Breezy overnight Saturday into Sunday as the front is Lee still relatively close to us. Temperatures around 50 and low 50s, I should say. Sunday, a little bit warmer as we get a little bit more sun on Sunday, particularly sun. Might be a few clouds left over in the morning, and then clouds start to build back late in the afternoon for our front, which approaches us and gives us some rain opportunities Sunday night into Monday. Temperatures in the low 50s. Again, let's take a quick look at those highlights. Dry until Sunday night when we get some passing showers after dark. Sun giving way to clouds Friday. Saturday brings clouds and windy conditions. Sunday will bring a good amount of sunshine. Coastal New England looks to see damaging winds and flooding. That's coastal, and flash flooding possibilities. Although, again, not as bad as this kind of looked. The slower movement of the hurricane has given it some time to wind down and not be so strong. All right. So I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons who help support what I do here at the West River Weather Guy. I'm back on Monday with a look at your work week forecast, and I'll certainly be back again next Friday with a look at your weekend forecast. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel before, I'd encourage you to do so. It helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos. And also, if you're interested in getting a little bit more content from me, my patrons get a weekend forecast a bit earlier. There's also I do an extended forecast for some of my patrons. So yeah, just let me know, or just follow the link in the description below, and I'll be happy to get you set up there as a patron. Otherwise, we just want to give a thanks to everybody who watches the videos, helps makes this happen. All right, we will see you on Monday.